Totally agree. Jonathan and Tom, do you guys work together? What's your relationship to each other, if any?
We're acquaintances and companions on this journey on this Prometheus project journey of trying to reframe, I would say, trying to reframe leadership in a way that is, I don't like the word democratic, but certainly more uh, uh, common. Like we say, we say make leading clear because there's too much confusion and complexity around it,
Indeed.
and make leaders common because, and it gets into the leader follower thing. Not everybody can be the leader, but everybody has something to lead in the situation they're in, I would suggest. And
I have no
that's part of the
disagreement with that.
consciousness that I want to make clearer and more available and more common. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, Jonathan, how would you describe our relationship?
We met in Barcelona at an event, and Tom made a critical comment that perked my ears up, and I said, "Oh, I got to go talk to this guy." He came back a couple of months to me and said, "I have this big, hairy, audacious idea to try and initiate this project." And I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll tag along and see how I can support
Yeah.
it."
Yeah, it was very much.
Do you get a lot of, do people join the Prometheus project, or what is it? Do you charge for belonging? Is it a course? What is it?
It's all free. It's just an association of people who, and it's part, I'd say, academics and professionals and people who just care about these topics to try. And we have worked on trying to come up with the framework of what we think leadership means. That we've had a couple of versions of it that has been published in the Andover Review. Version
In
3.
the journal that I edited. I'll give
Yeah.
her the link in a moment here.
Sure. And we struggle with semantics, and we struggle with what's the essential pattern that we're all trying to talk about, because we get distracted by how we're all talking about it. And if we look cross discipline and cross contextually, can we get to the essence of what we're trying to say? Is there something there?
How old is the Prometheus project?
5 years and 6 months.
And how many people have engaged with it over the last 5 years?
Well, I don't have a count of people who've attended, like in these voices. This is part of the way that we explore and bring people in. But there are 600 and some members in a little community space that we have. And
that's pretty
the
good.
metrics, very few of them contribute. They're mostly lurking.
Yeah.
But the metrics say that about a third of them stop in every once in a while and see what's there. But there's not much content created. We do have a identity in LinkedIn that there are, I think, about 1,900 followers on LinkedIn for it. So
well, good. So you've done something. You've created something.
Yeah.
Good for you guys. I mean, there's so much competition out there, so many leadership thises and that's, and even associations and journals and whatever. It's not easy to do what you guys have done. So good for you.
Yeah. And
there's a link in the chat if you're curious to follow up. There's a little article where Tom's tried to illustrate this very nicely.
Try is the word. What's really essential about things are really very hard to communicate. I think you probably know this better than I do, and to try to get people to see leadership as a system more systemically, because usually people focus on it's about the person or it's about the techniques that they're using, and yes to all of those things, but the challenge is, can we see how all these things are in relationship to one another? And we've got something that's better than what we had 5 years ago.
I have to say though, first of all, the subject, for just the reasons that you're saying, it's incredibly frustrating, but ergo, that's why it's, to me anyway, endlessly interesting. And just to talk about the leadership system, I've never introduced this very simple idea and had people say, "Oh, really? Like the context doesn't matter. Why are you doing?" Or followers, they're not important. Usually people are quite happy, in my experience, to have a framework. They know it's more complicated than just Donald Trump. They know that intuitively, but they don't have a mechanism or a framework for kind of, in some reasonably, very economical way, hanging the different pieces together. And in my experience, the leadership system idea or concept, believe me, it's not patented. works well. People get it, they resonate to it, and they don't generally say, gee, one or the other doesn't matter.
So we
I
try,
gave
we have
them
like
the-
a leveled idea. So we try to keep it really high. And actually it's just it's a riff on the be no do model. We call it be no set do, allowing for action to be a little bit more variable and a little less causal, maybe, right? So a little complexity thinking there. But then we try to break it down into some more layers of detail. And as soon as, the next level we call the leaders lenses, which is just ways to focus on certain elements of this whole leadership system. And there's 12 of them, and they are absolutely overwhelming. Nobody can digest them. And so we're pushing the envelope there, but I think it's the right thing to do.
I
You know,
gave
people
them the
want
2-minute
they want
warning.
they want a
They're
simple
not
answer.
mutually exclusive. In other words, one can have a very economical system for groups that don't get together all that often. They can't manage, as you just said, 12. But if it's an enduring group that stays together and that is learning together, then the more complicated systems, of course, make a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah.